What's up, everybody? Michaela Vernava alongside Zach Cox and Doug Hyde at Gillette Stadium ahead of Patriots-Panthers Week 4 showdown. Beautiful morning here today, guys.
Gorgeous.
Perfect football weather.
Finally, yeah.
A little bit better than the 90 degrees we had here last Sunday.
Yeah,
so
last
I got to say that.
weekend was sweltering.
Yes.
Obviously, some of the guys had dehydration issues. Don't think that will be an issue today. First
Hopefully
real
not.
fall feeling that we've had, I think. Yeah.
I love it.
Pretty much felt like summer up until now. But
Mhm.
this is going to be great. So let's get into some of the keys to victory for the Patriots. We have the Patriots' #1 offense. Last week, they were able to put up 36 points against the Houston Texans to pull off the win. Could be a little harder this week, though, because the Panthers' defense ranked #1 overall in total defense. So what do you guys think? Let's start with what the biggest challenges the Patriots are facing today are.
It really is the Panthers' front seven, I'd say. And, you know, I think it will be a similar challenge to last week. The Panthers haven't exactly played the most high-powered offenses so far this season. And when they did against the Saints, they got kind of blown up a little bit. So I think that it will be a similar challenge to the Texans last week. But Panthers front seven is legit. You've got Luke Kuechly in there, Thomas Davis, even their third linebacker, Shaq Thompson, is a legit player. You've got Quan Short up front. So I think running the ball could be an issue in this game. I think this is a game where you definitely see them passing the ball quite a bit more. It might be another AFC Offensive Player of the Week type week for Tom Brady this week.
Another one.
Week.
DJ Khaled says.
Yeah, I agree.
Another
This is kind of a similar defense to what we saw in the Houston Texans last week. I don't think they're quite as good at rushing the passer as Houston is, but I think their linebackers are a little better, especially Luke Kuechly. When he's healthy, he's one of, if not the best defensive player in the entire league. But I'm looking at the Carolina secondary. Not very great, and they're going to be without one of their starting cornerbacks. Darryl Worley has been ruled out for this game, so they're going to have a backup starting in that spot. Even when they are at full strength, they're really not anything special. So like you said, this could be another big Tom Brady game.
And I think this is a game where you try to force the Panthers into nickel and dime as much as you can, just because Shaq Thompson is a legit player, but he's their third linebacker, and he does not stay on the field for the most part when the Panthers are in sub packages against the opposing offense. So this might just be my University of Washington bias showing through, but I think that Shaq Thompson is probably more talented than some of those players in the Panthers secondary at cornerback and safety. So if you can get him off the field, get one of those less talented cornerbacks or safeties on the field, then I think that makes a lot of sense for the Patriots.
But Thompson
offense.
is a pretty versatile guy, too.
Yep.
I mean, Bill Belichick was saying this week that a lot of times when in a situation where a normal team might just go into the nickel package, bring Captain Munnerlyn, their nickel corner on, they just keep Shaq Thompson in the game because he is talented enough to cover guys out of the backfield, to cover even wide receivers. So I think you're going to see him used in a lot of different ways today.
Yeah, he played slot cornerback actually in college. He played slot cornerback, he played running back, he played linebacker, he played safety. He basically did it all.
He played minor league baseball for
He
the Red
played minor
Sox,
league
too.
baseball. He struck out a ton, didn't get any hits, but fortunately I don't see any bats out here, so he should be okay for this week.
Yeah, certainly. And we talked this week about how the Patriots' new offensive identity without Julian Edelman now is characterized by the deep ball. So I would assume Chris Hogan, maybe we're seeing some of those big plays from him, but other than him, who do you think are going to be the real stars of this game and I guess fantasy owner pleasers today?
Well, I think we could see another big Brandon Cooks game. I mean, he came out of the gate really hot last week. Weeks 1 and 2, I know we were higher on him than some fans, maybe some less informed fans, but he came out last week, blew the doors off the Texans. I think you could have a similar game from him today, especially with Carolina's secondary not being particularly talented.
Yeah, I think this is a game for the receivers, really, because tight ends, running backs, we've been talking about the linebackers for basically this whole show now. Guys like Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, and Shaq Thompson might be able to cover Rob Gronkowski about as well as anyone in the NFL, and same goes for those running backs out of the backfield. James White doesn't have the best matchup this week just because Luke Kuechly and Thompson and Davis, all of those guys are on the field. So I think this is a game to exploit the cornerbacks maybe rather than the middle of the field there and the players who will be taking on those tight ends and running backs.
So what do you think we'll see of Mike Gillislee, if anything? Because he's a guy that people have been kind of up in arms about, thinking that he's not producing enough.
I don't know. I mean, it's not the easiest matchup for him, but I think that they will continue to try to get him rolling in this game. Really, he hasn't been able to get going, for lack of a better term. I know I basically just used that, but only averaging 3.2 yards per carry. He doesn't have any big long runs on the season. I think his longest run is about 16 yards. So just trying to get him going, maybe up that yards per carry a little bit. But if it's not working for him, then you can still bring in a James White or a Dion Lewis to kind of change it up there for them.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement that we've seen a lot of Mike Gillislee runs that feel like they're kind of just on the borderline of breaking it through. He needs to break one more tackle, make one more move, then he can rip off one of those 30, 40-yard runs that we saw LeGarrette Blount make so often last year. But yeah, again, if he can't kind of get going, like you said, in this game, I think we could see more Dion Lewis than we've seen this season. He's only played 32 offensive snaps. Even last week when Rex Burkhead was hurt, he really wasn't that much of a factor in the game plan. I think it's going to come eventually. If he remains on this team, if they don't end up trading him or getting rid of him at all, I think you're going to see a game where he finally kind of breaks through, gets 15, 20 touches, and is really a focus of the game plan. And I think that could come this week.
All right, guys, well, on the other side of things, we have a Panthers offense that has scored only 3 touchdowns through 3 games. Cam Newton with a passer rating that Rob Gronkowski certainly would like, 69.7. Not the Cam Newton of a few years back, of certainly that team that went to Super Bowl 50. He is, of course, has been banged up now over the past couple of years, couple ankle injuries, coming off shoulder surgery, but I mean, not good at all. But conversely, the Patriots defense does rank last in the league right now.
In almost everything.
Yes, and has been struggling. Yeah. Dante Hightower is listed as questionable, but you guys are thinking that he'll probably play, but do you think that he'll be able to have an impact if he does?
I don't know if he'll play 100% of snaps, but I think he will make an impact if he's out there. I think that this defense has definitely missed him quite a bit, because the trickle-down effect of losing Dante Hightower means that guys like, Landon Roberts are playing more. Jordan Richards played a lot in week 1. You've seen Cassius Marsh out there a lot. Adam Butler has taken on a starting role, and he hasn't responded. And he's responded fine for it as an undrafted rookie, but I think you would rather have Dante Hightower, the all-pro linebacker, in there over Butler. So I think that, getting Hightower back will certainly help, but this defense really has to prove itself in this game, because like you were saying, Panthers offense really has not done much this season. So if they're able to light up the Patriots defense for, 20, 30, 40 points, something like that, that's a really bad sign as we move forward in the season.
Yeah, on paper, this should be a good bounce-back game for the Patriots defense, but that's exactly what we said last week against a Texans offense that was averaging like 10 points per game coming into that game. Deshaun Watson, rookie quarterback, really had his way with this Patriots defense. Cam Newton is a different player than Deshaun Watson, but they're both kind of running threats, and that was the biggest problem last week against the Texans, is that they couldn't tackle Deshaun Watson. He was able to extend plays, really kind of open up the field for his offense. It should be, Cam Newton, like you said, he hasn't been MVP Cam Newton really since 2015. He had the worst completion percentage in the league last season. I think he was 28th in passer rating. This year hasn't really improved. He's without Greg Olsen. Kelvin Benjamin's going to play, but he's banged up. I think you could see a big game from Christian McCaffrey, since the Patriots do traditionally have trouble covering those kind of pass-catching running backs. But really, this is a Panthers offense that doesn't have a ton of weapons right now. So it should be a good game for the Patriots, but we'll see if they can come through.
I think containing Jonathan Stewart is going to be another challenge for them. Do you guys have concerns at all about them being able to contain the Panthers' running game?
I think they've been okay against the run this year. They've definitely been a lot better against the run than they've been against the pass. So I think McCaffrey out of the backfield is going to be a little bit more of a threat than Jonathan Stewart. But Jonathan Stewart's still a very good back, and he's the Panthers kind of, when they're running the ball, they're usually giving it to Jonathan Stewart. So I think we'll see a lot of him today.
It's kind of amazing how long the Panthers hang on to their running backs. It seems like D'Angelo Williams was on the Panthers for about 20 years. Feels like Jonathan Stewart's been on the team for about 15 years at this point. Yeah, and then I'm sure that in 10 years we'll be talking about Christian McCaffrey being there for God knows how many years at that point, yeah.
Well, it's a hypothetical, of course, but if we do see the Cam Newton of the past finally maybe come back to life during this game, then what, I guess, for the Patriots defense? Because if he is his old self, when he has a little bit of time and is able to scramble, that really does kind of open up the playbook for the Panthers and could create some other challenges for the Patriots defense.
Yeah, it certainly could. The Patriots traditionally have not been great against running quarterbacks. Some of that might be the fact that they give them some time. They try to contain the guys rather than really rush them. So when a mobile quarterback has time to throw, that's kind of when they're at their best throwing the ball. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. I don't have a lot of faith that we will see the Cam Newton of old, but even if we don't, he still might be able to light up this Patriots defense just because they've been so weak so far.
When Cam Newton is Cam Newton, he's one of the most dynamic players in the entire league, but we just haven't seen it for so long, and he's still recovering from that shoulder surgery. Eric Rowe, always one of the most candid Patriots players. He said this week that it doesn't look like Cam Newton's accuracy is as good since he's undergone shoulder surgery. Not something you usually hear a player say about opposing player, but we're not complaining. So I don't know.
Eric Rowe is a gem.
Eric Rowe is a gem. So
bulletin board material.
When Cam Newton, if Cam Newton plays like Cam Newton, then he's obviously a huge threat to this Patriots defense, but we just haven't seen it in so long.
Here's something that I think could be an X factor is just the past between these two teams. People in Carolina are very much convinced that the Patriots stole a Super Bowl from them in Super Bowl 38. That is a feeling that I sensed among the team as well. And then, but for the Patriots, I mean, the last time the Panthers played the Patriots in the regular season, there was, of course, that Gillislee Gronk play that kind of really could have changed the game. But my point is being that year the Panthers really brought it to the Pats, and we see it a lot with a lot of teams that really, even teams that are struggling, kind of bring their A game against the Patriots. Something about coming in here, maybe seeing the 5 banners and saying, hey, let's try to do something here.
The price of being the king, I guess you could say. I mean, every team is going to give their absolute 150% effort whenever they come in, because every team wants to say, yeah, we came into Gillette Stadium, we knocked off the Patriots. Texans almost were able to do it last week. You could tell that they really, by looking at the reactions of J.J. Watt and Bill O'Brien after the game, they just emptied everything out into the field. They really, I mean, it sounds dumb to say they really wanted to win the game. So obviously everybody really wants to win every game they play. But teams do elevate to a different level when they play the Patriots.
It's kind of unbelievable that Super Bowl was played, 14 years ago, and there's still 2 active players on these teams. I mean, Julius Peppers was gone for quite a while, but he's back with the Panthers now. Tom Brady on the Patriots. So just kind of cool that 14 years later, there is still guys remaining from those teams.
Yeah, well, I think we're in for a good one today, and we will have all your coverage on NESN.com, so keep it right here.